right, so continuing with our Chapter 10 PowerPoint series. So this is Chapter 10, and I called this part Special Issues, but mostly what we're dealing with is called immediate expensing. And there are really two different ways that Congress has granted business owners the ability to immediately expense what would normally be capitalized property. You've got Section 179, and then you've got bonus depreciation. All right, so let's talk about each of those. All right, so immediate expensing. Typically what we're talking about then is, this is Section 179, okay? And it gives you the ability to immediately expense business use property that would normally be depreciated or capitalized over a number of years, okay? But there are some limitations. So let's talk about the limitations. All right, so the first limitation is called the property limitation. And so it gives you the ability to expense $1,020,000 of personal property placed in service, okay? So you can only use this in the first year you place this property in service, okay? It can't be property that you've had in service for 2 years or 3 years. It doesn't have to be new property, but it has to be new to you, okay? Now, there is a phase-out threshold. And that phase-out threshold changes every year, and so this will be given to you. The phase-out threshold is $2,550,000, okay? And I'm going to have to increase space here. I didn't leave myself enough space. I apologize for that. So what does that mean? That means okay, once you place $2,550,000 of assets in service in any given year, this Section 179 benefit starts to phase out dollar for dollar, okay? Now, that's important to know. This property limitation is what it's called. The phased out portion does not carry forward. So I'm going to put does not carry forward. All right. Now, you also have a taxable income limitation on your Section 179. Section 179 cannot create a loss. So what that means is you're limited to business income after all deductions, including makers and bonus depreciation. We'll talk about bonus depreciation in a minute. Okay. Now, there's also some strategy when you're choosing which assets to use Section 179 for, because remember, you want to recognize the largest amount of deductions possible immediately. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to choose assets with the lowest first year cost recovery percentage. Lowest first year okay, and we will do some examples of Section 179, all right? But I wanted to lay out the groundwork here. And I will add the limitations to the Chapter 10 makers schedules so that you have a complete set of schedules. All right, so now let's talk about bonus depreciation. All right, bonus depreciation is another way to immediately expense assets. Okay. Again, this is for assets with useful lives less than 20 years. Okay. Oops. If you want to elect out, you can, but you have to state that. Okay, so what that means is you can, no kidding, immediately expense 100% of assets placed in service between the September 27th date in 2017 and the end of 2022. So that means if you buy a truck and it's a $15,000 truck, instead of depreciating it over its useful life, you can use bonus depreciation and expense it all in that first year. Okay. You can elect out of doing that, but you have to make a statement that shows you elected out. And your question might be, well, man, it'd be great to have more deductions in any given year. Why would I want to elect out? Well, you might not want to use bonus depreciation if you have a net operating loss. Because you remember, net operating losses are limited. And so you can carry forward bonus depreciation. Okay. And so you might not want to use your bonus depreciation this year if you have an NOL. We will do some problems with bonus depreciation as well, and we'll talk more about bonus depreciation. The last topic that I want to talk about for this PowerPoint, well, second to last topic, I guess, is listed property. We've talked about listed property before, but let's define it again. So listed property is assets that are used for both business and personal use. Okay. Remember, you can only depreciate the business part. All right. So depreciation is limited to the business portion. All right. If business use is greater than 50%, use normal. Whoops, that is not a D. Depreciation methods. If business use is less than or equal to 50%, then you use straight line. Okay? So that is all we're going to cover from a listed property perspective. Your book goes further into it, but we don't have time for that. So I just wanted to make sure we touched on listed property because it's a pretty significant issue. Also, your book talks about luxury automobiles. So here is your luxury automobile depreciation limits table. And so I just thought I would add that in there. We are not going to deal with luxury automobiles for our purposes. That is all I have for special issues. Bye.